All righty, welcome everybody. I would like to call the Haymarket Town Council public hearing and regularly monthly meeting to order for Monday, March 3rd, 2025. I have a roll call, please.
Casanello,
Here.
Larson,
Here.
Gallagher,
Here.
Hager, Ramirez,
Here.
Baker,
Here.
BNA.
Here.
Okay, I'd now like to welcome our Webelos Scouts from PAC 107 to tonight's meeting, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Would everybody please rise?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Now it's time for ice cream.
We get ice cream now? Tonight's invocation will be given by Rabbi Perlstein from the Chabad Center for Jewish Life. Would you please come forward?
So asked to just give a brief introduction before I start. So first of all, it's a big honor to be here. I'm not sure how often a rabbi gets to come out here to give the invocation. And we're honored to currently have the first home for the Jewish community in Western Prince William County housed in the town of Haymarket. I've had the honor of meeting some people here. For those I didn't, look forward to the opportunity. I'll make a brief mention in the invocation about a holiday which we're going to be celebrating next Thursday night, Friday, which is the holiday of Purim, which commemorates a story for anyone familiar with the scriptural text of the book of Esther. It's a story of the Jewish people while they were then living under Persian rule, and the vice premier of the country under King Ahasuerus, Haman, wanted to annihilate the Jewish people, and through a series of divine providence happened to be that the queen was Jewish, Esther, and she intervened and saved the Jewish people from annihilation. And it's one of the most joyous celebratory celebrations for the Jewish people. We get dressed up and we eat. It's a very festive day. So it's a joy. The whole month is joyous in the Jewish calendar. So hopefully we'll bring not only some blessings, but joy in the room as well. So with that said, I think we're ready to start. God, master of the universe, look favorably upon the honorable members of council for the town of Haymarket and bestow upon them and all of us gathered here today the joy of life, good health, and prosperity. Next week, the Jewish world will mark the holiday of Purim that celebrates the miracle recorded in the biblical book of Esther. When Mordecai asked his cousin, Queen Esther, to use her influence to avert Haman's diabolical plot, she was frightened. She didn't believe she had much chance of success, and the attempt would put her life at risk. With a few words that continue to ring throughout history, Mordecai sent her a message. If you are silent at this time, relief and rescue will come to all the Jews in some other way, but you and your family will be lost. And who knows, perhaps it was just for such a time that you achieved royalty. Mordecai's message was, you did not get here by accident. God put you there for a reason. It may well be that God made you queen to give you this opportunity to act for your people and go down in history as a heroine. If you let it go, God will find some other way to achieve his will. But you and your whole family will be consigned to infamy. The lesson is clear. We did not achieve our respective positions by accident or by our own efforts. God selected us and put us there so that we could do his will. When we are challenged to do what is right rather than what is convenient or safe, it is up to us to make that right choice. So Almighty God, grant us all the wisdom and courage to apply the powerful lessons of the book of Esther so that we should be agents of goodness and peace to ourselves, our families, our communities, and to the entire world. Give this honorable council guidance so that they will always be conscious of your presence and will strive to enact laws with honesty and integrity in accordance with your will. May our town serve as a beacon of light and humanity as we do our part in bettering the world. May we merit an era of global peace and tranquility speedily in our days, and let us say, Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Okay, at this point, I'd like to invite Chief up to introduce us to our new police officers.
Yeah, we're very fortunate, thank you, Vice Mayor. We're very fortunate to have not only the officers here, but some of their family members. And I'm just going to, instead of me telling you about them, I'm going to let them tell you about themselves just briefly. Put them on the spot. If Scott, you want to come on up? First is Scott Madigan. That's his middle name, Scott, but that's what he goes by. Scott, if you just want to introduce yourself to council and the crowd here and just give a quick brief about yourself. All right.
My name's Scott Madigan. Been in law enforcement going on 19 years now. Been through CIT. I'm a CIT officer, CIT instructor, also a defensive tactics instructor. Been, like say, very active. I'm type I like to get out in the community, be involved with people in the community, everything like that. Married. I have a son and a daughter. My daughter's actually followed my footsteps. She's in law enforcement as well. Say she's probably about 7 years in now. So like say she will be the second generation. I've got a grandson now. Never know. Maybe that's the third generation coming. We'll have to see. So I can think of. All right.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
His daughter was actually in my command at my last placement. Trevor, you want to come on up?
Hello, how are you all?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm Trevor Rick. I come from Shenandoah County and Strasburg PD. I worked for the sheriff's office there and then the PD. I've been an officer for about 7 years. I'm a general instructor, field training officer, CIT instructor, and crisis negotiations. I really enjoy the small town atmosphere here. Haymarket's great. I came up and worked Haymarket days last year, and clearly it left an impression on me. So I enjoy everyone here at the PD, everyone I've met. I've met a couple council members so far, and I'm just really glad to be here and be part of the team. So thank you all for accepting and welcoming me. Appreciate it.
Welcome aboard. Thank
Yeah,
you.
welcome.
Just so you know, Trevor does sing.
Yep.
And was actually on The Voice or something like that. One of those shows I don't watch. But I think him and Chip's going to start a group called Tango and Cash or something like that. So, but no, we're fortunate to have two experienced and well-trained officers here. They're both fitting in swimmingly, and they're both enjoying being here. So I think we're blessed. We're fully staffed, and we're in a good place right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Do we get to ask their family questions about them, or is that off? All righty. Well, that brings us to our public hearing. Next item on the agenda. Kim, will you please read the public notice into record?
Thank you, sir. Notice is hereby given that the town council of the town of Haymarket will hold a public hearing on Monday, March 3, 2025 at 7 p.m. in the Haymarket Town Hall located at 15000 Washington Street, Suite 100, Haymarket, Virginia, to consider a special use permit application for a religious assembly located at 14600 Washington Street. The special use permit application materials are available on the town's website and for review at the town hall located at 15000 Washington Street between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. All meetings are open to the public. The town of Haymarket does not discriminate on the basis of disability and admission of access to its programs or activities. The location of this public hearing is believed to be accessible to persons with disabilities. Anyone wishing to make a comment but cannot attend the public hearing, please send your comments to the town clerk by 4 p.m. on March 3rd, 2025.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I would like to open the floor for citizens' comments on the public hearing. If there's anyone wishing to address the council on the subject of the public hearing specifically, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Mohammed Qasim Gul. I'm living in Haymarket, 15082 Stepping Stone Drive. I'm the one who did put the special use permit request over here. So I think I'm gonna start with that. Well, thank you for letting me speak here today. And I moved into this area with my wife and 2 kids, and we sort of fell in love with the town. And apparently, things are working really well for us because we see this as town has a perfect balance of, I'll say, happening and peaceful at the same time, which is great. At the same time, we were able to meet most of our needs here except one, and that is a very essential aspect of getting religious space for Muslims. This is what this SUB is all about. Right now, there is a proper space for religious space is roughly in a 13-mile radius, somewhere around that. So that takes about 20 to 30 minutes to drive over there. And at this moment, I think I'm representing the Muslim community standing here in front of you, representing them in a way that there's a lot of Muslims who call this town their home, and many of them did show up here today as well. They joined us to show support for this establishment of this place for Muslims, as well as I think I would want to thank everyone because today is a blessed night of a holy month of Ramadan. They took some time out and they appeared over here. So thank you everyone for showing up. Having said that, for people who are not aware of our practices, I would like to explain a little. Muslims pray 5 times a day at designated times, and those times start with sunrise and it goes up till into the evening. Not everyone is able to go to a mosque to, gather all 5 times of the day because of their work-life schedules. However, one prayer stands out. That is a Friday prayer, which has a special significance. On Friday prayer, most people tend to gather and pray in a congregation in early hours of afternoon. Friday is a work day, and with that work day, most people are at their workplaces, so they typically find a space which is closer to them to offer their prayers. For people who are working from home, for them, we are proposing a facility, this establishment that is much needed to establish prayers and have an ability to worship over there. Having said that, initially we did provide some details on prayer schedules, as well as estimated attendance and some estimates around the vehicle count as well for your review and consideration. I think I'm not going to extend it a lot, but I'm going to leave you guys with just one thought. I have an 8-year-old son, and my son is still young. He asked very simple questions today, but one day when he grows, he's gonna, grow deeper with his questions. And when he asked me whether I did everything I could do in my power to connect him with a place where he can get answers to his related to his faith, related to his religion, as well as nurture his faith. I want to be able to say that I did everything I could. And when I do that, I hope I can tell him that it was just not me or the Muslim community that stood up and made this happen. But I want to tell him that the parents and grandparents of his friends, our neighbors, and the broader community, they stood with us to establish a place, and they ensured that he, like every other child, could freely learn his faith as well as exercise it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Old Home Week. Bob Weir, 6853 St. Paul Drive. Here as a resident, not in any official capacity. I took a quick look at the application. I only have one concern. And it seems everybody's kind of dancing around it, and I'm hoping that you guys will take care of that when you consider the application this afternoon. And that's parking and traffic. The town has significant experience, most of it bad, with the concept of shared parking. And those of you who are familiar with the lot realize that when the other businesses are working or open, particularly the restaurants, parking can be somewhat of an issue there. If you've got other, if you've got an event going on at the ice cream shop, you've got Zandra's, you've got Truva, you've got the other businesses in there. So I am a little bit concerned, especially given the nature of the parking lot and the unstriped nature of it, that you've got sufficient parking. And I don't think you can rely on a shared parking agreement to handle not only normal worship travel, but, you know, on high holidays, that sort of thing, you're going to have considerably more. As the county, or excuse me, as the town attorney is well aware, this is an issue with a lot of churches of all denominations. In fact, I'll be dealing with one tomorrow night. And most churches in this particular type of situation where you've got the questions with respect to parking, actually proffer in writing a parking or a traffic mitigation plan, how they're going to handle it, if they're going to, when and if they're going to require some sort of traffic control in a form of a police or a sheriff, that sort of thing. But I think in order to ensure the safety of everybody, congregants as well as residents, particularly given the traffic that we're seeing on Route 55 right now, that you insist on some sort of proffered condition. Actually not a condition, it'd be, this is an SUP, correct? So it'd be a condition to the approval to address the parking and the traffic. Other than that, I got no issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor, it'd be my suggestion that going forward, that you limit the citizen time so everybody has a chance to speak for 3 minutes.
Okay. Let us keep it to 3 minutes then.
Hi, evening, gentlemen, everybody. My name is Mohammed Malik. I'm here as a resident capacity, 5413 Dabney's Mill Court, right by Battlefield. I stumbled upon Haymarket back in 2011 during a motorcycle ride. I grew up in McLean area and fell in love with the town. Took me another 7 years to figure everything out to move here. Moved back in 2019, married a girl who was resident of Heathcote for last 20 years, 2 kids. I'm here just to share that how excited I am that you guys are giving us a chance reviewing this application. It's from somebody who spends 1.5 hour morning and 1.5 hour in the evening just to take my kids to school all the way to Sterling, just because I want to make sure that they learn their faith in a very early age. This would be something very, very beneficial for us. And I know there are a lot of people like us who are not able to be here. I know some of my neighbors who go through the exact same thing. So I just wanted to be here just to be here in person and at least say my piece that this is something that will definitely help us a lot. And of course, you know, it is something that as a community, we all have to think about each other. And there would be, of course, as we go, there would be things that may need to be considered on each side. And I'm pretty sure we'll be able to find some kind of common ground to make sure it can help for everybody. Just here as a resident capacity, feel free to reach out if anything else. But I just wanted to come here and share that this is something extremely and tremendously helpful, especially to people who are commuting daily, 5 days a week, just to make sure that their kids are getting the education that they desire them to be. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much. My name is Noor. I'm in 7236 Winnipeg Drive, and I appreciate the opportunity. We'll keep it within less than 3 minutes. I'm a religious leader in the center. I lead the prayers as well at times. And I just want to make 2 quick comments. One related to the businesses and the fact that they may be impacted, as the gentleman mentioned, with the congregations that come for prayers. I guarantee you these businesses are the luckiest because everyone after prayer wants to grab an ice cream or wants to go have a lunch or a dinner. So this is actually going to be very positive from a kind of bringing the community closer to the market. That's one. Number 2, for the parking, I can tell you I was one of the people that suffered to find a parking outside here today. But that does not prevent the fact that we have a hearing today, right? If you organize it, it can just simply happen. And this is not the first Islamic center in the area in Northern Virginia. There's more than 100 Islamic centers and prayer halls, and they're all coordinated with police. They're all coordinated with towns, and we're able to organize this in such a way that can make this very successful and enrich the community with the diversity of the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kara Gallagher, and I live at 6930 Jockey Club Lane. I think the idea of this congregation, this church for the Islamic faith would bring a lot of diversity to our area. And for that reason, I'm very, very welcoming of it, and I do hope that you approve it. However, being a resident of Green Hill Crossing for the past 20 years and having extensive experience on the QBE land, I had sons that attended Boy Scout troop meetings up there. I had one son who worked at Cookies and Cream. I had one of those same sons attended classes at Battlefield Jiu-Jitsu, and our entire family has been to all of the restaurants and the brewery up there. I can tell you that parking is an issue, and I understand that people working together can make it work. However, I also know from living in this town that the landlord does not work well with the businesses and with the town. So I would ask that if you allow the special use permit, again, like Bob said, that you would put some conditions on it. I've seen multiple accidents, people ending up in the ditches on the sides of the entrance and exit. The one way is not able to be enforced by the police. It just needs to be made safe if it's going to happen. I myself have almost been hit by cars, both on foot and in my car, from people exiting and entering the wrong ways. And it's virtually impossible when somebody's quasi illegally going the wrong way down the one way, we can't turn left out of our development because you're at risk of getting hit by somebody who's making a right-hand turn. So I would ask if you would please find a way to put some stipulations in this approval, because I think it would be great for the Muslim community to have a space like this. But I also want to be able to enter and exit my neighborhood safely and have my kids do the same and my neighbors do the same. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else?
Barry Blackburn. I'm at 6900 Barbera Drive. Just recently moved into a new community, Robinson Manor. It's a new 55-plus community Van Meter built. I'm a stone's throw from the site where the assembly will take place, and I'm about 120 yards off John Marshall and directly exposed. In my 8 weeks here, what I've noticed is roughly 20% of the traffic exceeds the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit, heading east towards the traffic circle, and they accelerate at a rate above that gets them to a speed limit above that, leaving the traffic circle going west. The result, in my concern, noise, noise, noise. It comes right through the windows. So yes, my immediate concern with the additional traffic is noise and gridlock. I managed to use the new crosswalk this weekend. Someone was kind enough to stop and let me cross to the park, but it took a few minutes. Saturdays are busy days on Main Street. So yeah, I think I have legit concerns. Autumn Harvest Trail is a new road. It will be very difficult to make a left turn if the traffic volumes increase. I can take an alternative route to go the traffic circle, but yeah, I would like to echo the previous concern about traffic and the resulting noise. The only other thing I didn't hear was that if there will be a call to prayer broadcast publicly. This is something I've lived near mosque in the past, and there has been a broadcast message prayer inciting worship. And it wasn't clear to me in reading the document if that is something that was going to occur here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Lisa Kabira. My address is 6852 St. Paul Drive. I wanted to echo the last two people. And I had one other quick question, if we could do a point of clarification from some of the others. Traffic is a nightmare, trying to get out of either exit from Green Hill at this point with the stoplight causing the congestion on one end. You have school times in the middle of the one entrance on that side, and then the other main entrance where the pool is. I nearly watched two people slam into each other and take out a pedestrian just last week. It was ridiculous. So I would say there has to be something in place as far as traffic goes. It would be negligent not to be. And to that point, there are small children here, and the community wants to talk about raising their children and their faith and everything. And I'm assuming, this is my question on point of clarification, is if we are holding classes to teach children, there is no crosswalk or legitimate way for those children, especially, to get from the QBE building. And for some that I know live in my community, I would, as a parent, be freaking out because people, like this gentleman said, barely recognize a crosswalk, much less a pedestrian. So I would hate the idea of children coming from learning and can't get across safely. You can't even go get ice cream, frankly, and come home safely. That's just the way it is. So that was that. But my point of clarification, if anybody was able to tell me, was whether or not the space would also be used for like teaching instruction, in which case would that lead to, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a different timeline of use of the building instead of just at, say, 5 prayer sessions and then obviously for festivals and worship time. That's all I had.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Muhammad Tayyib. I'm a resident of Haymarket, 6004 Wishing Rockway, Haymarket. Been here for almost 10 years now, a little over 10 years, actually. 10 years ago, or until this time, I've seen many businesses go up, many places go up, many houses go up on 55, Route 55. I've seen lights go up, traffic patterns changing and all that. Yes, that has brought in more traffic. Yes, that has brought in more parking spaces issues and all that. But that does not stop the city to move forward, the town to move forward. That also includes that the community that resides over here, their needs to be seen as well. If other businesses are prospering, they're moving forward, I think the rest of the community needs also need to be considered. Not here to address the technical questions, but as for the traffic, 5 times a day, it's not 500 people coming in all the time. The traffic is very minimal, most of the time. The only time I think our friend has already mentioned is the Friday timeline. I don't think it's going to be any different than, people getting their lunch at a restaurant. You would see at times 20, 30, 50 cars stopping by. And if you pool all the restaurants together in that area, I'm sure that's plenty of people who are crossing 55 at that time, around lunchtime. And on Fridays, people carpool. Most people do. When I moved here, as I think one of the other friends mentioned, there was nothing over here, no community for us to interact with or hang out with or let our kids learn things and all that. We had to drive all the way. The nearest places were in Manassas. But we are hoping that with this place, we can have a place nearby, close by, where we can attend these daily congregations and Friday congregations on time, where our kids can hang out and learn about our faith. So definitely, that's a very needed aspect that we're looking forward to, and I'm really hoping that you guys will give it a serious consideration, for this place. Traffic, as I said, like all the other businesses, this place is not going to be any different. I'm sure, there are other places of faith in the area. The traffic's managed there. I'm sure traffic will be managed similar to those areas over here as well. Kids are not going to be let, be on their own. On 55, I don't think any parent lets their kids to be on their own. The kids are going to be with their parents all the time. So I don't think that would be a serious concern, because as I said, on Route 55, none of us is going to let their kids be, okay, go get the ice cream. You're always accompanying your kids. I don't think that should be a serious concern there. So, all right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, my name is Tahir Saeed. I'm a resident of 8346 Startling Cedar, Gainesville. So I have two kids, 14-year-old daughter, 12-year-old son. I can hardly make it to one prayer in a day out of the 5, just because of the distance I have to travel for each one of them, right? So just going back and forth, that's like an hour at least, if not more, depending on traffic. So we are highly looking forward to this place, because this is going to be so close that we can at least try and accommodate more and more. Qasim, my fellow Qasim, mentioned earlier that this is the holy month of Ramadan. It's a holy night for us. And given that we break a fast and then we have to go for prayers right after we're here, that shows that our commitment towards this. We really want this to happen. We really appreciate if you can look into this. I would like to address 2 other concerns. The first thing is regarding the call to prayer. We did not mention it in the document, but there is no public call to prayer. Everything is going to be within the premises if the voice does not go out. The second thing is regarding the teaching aspect of things. So the regular operations is 5 times a day. Sometimes there will be special events during the weekends, for kids, for adults. But the main thing is 5 times a day, Friday prayers. That's the main event. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. So I think that all the fantastic points have made, and I appreciate your time and consideration. Sorry, Chris Kobira, 6852 St. Paul Drive. One thing I'd just like to consider is, from a planning perspective, just growth in general. I think growth from all communities coming together, growth in traffic, growth in the other businesses that are currently standing in the QBE building. I think that it's a point of consideration as we plan the future of our community. I think people coming together is a fantastic thing, but we are in a town where I think we have the opportunity to lay down a fantastic thought process and plan out this fine community. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Are there any last call for anybody to speak from the public? Are there any emails to be read in?
Vice Mayor, I have several emails to be read into the record.
Okay.
I'm going to start with, I received 2 emails in opposition of the SUP. The remainder will be in favor of the SUP. I'll start with the oppositions first, and then I will explain what I did with the ones that are in favor, okay?
Okay, thank you.
This comes from Teresa Williams, located at 14880 Green Hill Crossing. Hello, my husband Tony and I have been town residents for 25 years. We have seen many changes in our sleepy little town over the years. We have resigned ourselves to the fact that progress happens for so many of these changes. The one thing that is continual issue is the traffic. Specifically to the issue of the special use permit, I would urge the council to deny based on the current traffic flow already overwhelming our roads. Once the improvements of 55 at Cat Hawthorne are finished, the traffic will increase even more rapidly as the flow from Gainesville will increase. There are so many current issues. Adding to it with this permit is not the best interest for this community. The next email, this letter came in to us on Friday, not by email, but they dropped it off. And this is an anonymous person who wrote this. I wish to comment on this application and object to approval. This location is directly adjacent to Robinson Manor, a recently constructed 55 and older community. The last few houses were occupied only a few weeks ago. When the residents of Robinson Manor put contracts on the lots for houses to be built on, there was no indication that a religious organization would occupy the QBE building directly behind many homes. The current occupants of QBE primarily are daytime businesses, with a couple of restaurants that stay open a little later, but are on the opposite side of QBE. It is rare to be disturbed by noise after hours. This religious assembly, per the application, will be at QBE multiple times during the day and in the early morning and at night. Per the application, every morning, 90 minutes before sunrise, 10 to 20 vehicles will be at the QBE, with the occupying doors slamming and people having conversations as they walk to and from the building. For reference, this was Friday. Today, 90 minutes before sunrise is 5:14 a.m. On July 1, 90 minutes will be at 4:19 a.m. At night, every night, 40 vehicles are expected at QBE 90 minutes after sunset. For reference, today, 90 minutes after sunset is 7:32 p.m. On July 1, 90 minutes after sunset is 10:09 p.m. During Ramadan, which lasts 30 days, 100 to 150 people and 60 to 90 cars are expected at QBE for 3 to 4 hours. This will be extremely disruptive to the older and many cases infirmed residents of Robinson Manor. Most have bought here expected this to be their final home purchase to rest here comfortably. The town staff report states that there will be little to no additional lights or noise that currently, but based on their own numbers as in the staff report, that is clearly false. Dozens of vehicles, dozens of people QBE every day before and after sunrise and sunset will clearly create more noise and light. I understand the town is requesting a carpooling plan, but I find it to be expect that there is any kind of compliance or enforcement, nor is there any guarantee that the estimated number of people and vehicles is accurate and might grow in the future. Furthermore, there have been many security incidences at Islamic centers in Virginia per the ACLU nationwide anti-mosque activity reports available online. Why the town would want to introduce security threat that currently does not exist is here beyond the pale. Okay, the next set are those who are in favor. These two come from in-town residences. This comes from, and I apologize if I mispronounce any of these names wrong going forward. Azad Mirza. I hope you are doing well. I'm writing, he's at, 6770 Jefferson Street. I'm writing to express my strong support for the approval of the special use permit for the Haymarket Islamic Center, which is currently under consideration by the town council. This initiative is vital for our community as there is currently no dedicated place of worship for Muslims in the area. The closest one is at least 7 miles away, a 12-minute drive, making it difficult for families, especially the elderly, and with those without transportation to regularly attend prayers and community gatherings. While this town is home to many other religious centers, there's none for the Muslim community. Approving this permit would enhance the town's diversity and inclusivity, ensuring that all residents have a space to practice their faith. Additionally, the center would serve as a place for community engagement, educational programs, and charitable activities that benefit the broader population. This project represents a step forward, a more inclusive and welcoming town for all, and I kindly urge you to support the approval of this permit so that members of our community can have equal access to a place of worship. The second is from Kasif Khan, 14723 Alexander Keep Haymarket. And his email is exactly the same as Mr. Mirza's, so I will not repeat what was just said. Then we have several here that are out of town that did just the hand that came in. And this is from Saeed Sami, 8717 Ellis Mill Drive, Gainesville. I'm writing this to show my support and request for approval of a permanent prayer space for Muslims in Haymarket. Please consider approving the request for the prayer space since the nearest masjid is 20 minutes drive to where I live. Next one is from Sharif Ahmad with no address. Hi, my name is Sharif Ahmad and I support this cause. Please help us get the permit for prayer hall or worshiping God. Next is from Asfar Hossam. Again, no address. This is to confirm that I support the application for a prayer space, which is submitted by Haymarket Islamic Center. This is a much needed facility for the Haymarket community, as we do not have any such facility within our neighborhood. Looking forward to your approval and support. Next is from Sabrina Shavad. She's a junior at Battlefield High School. My name is Sabrina Shavad. I am a junior at Battlefield High School and a proud graduate of Haymarket Elementary. Growing up in this town has given me so many wonderful memories, walking along Washington Street on Haymarket Day, enjoying the small town charm, and wishing we had more restaurants. I want to sincerely thank the town council for approving so many dining options, especially Shahaz Halal and my sister's favorite, Taco Bell. It's exciting to see Haymarket grow and become more welcoming to all its residents. Now, the Muslim community of Haymarket is asking for same support, the approval of a permanent Islamic center in our town. Special use permit for the Haymarket Islamic Center at 14600 Washington Street must be approved without further delay. I understand that there have been concerns about traffic and parking, but these have already been mitigated through the Planning Commission. Minimal traffic impact. The only major gathering is Friday prayers held outside of peak hour rush hours. To further reduce impact, the service is now offered at 3 different times to stagger attendance. Parking considerations addressed. The proposal includes adequate parking to accommodate worshipers, and the Muslim community is fully committed to working with the town on any future adjustments if needed. With these solutions in place, there is no reason to delay this permit further. The Muslim community is simply requesting what so many others have already have, a dedicated place to worship in our town. I respectfully ask that the council to approve this permit without additional conditions. Any minimal concerns that may arise can and will be addressed at the full cooperation of the Muslim community. This one comes from the sister, Kinzo Javad. My name's Kinzo Javad, and I am a freshman at Battlefield High School, and I'm writing to ask for your support in approval of the special use permit for the Haymarket Islamic Center at 14600 Washington Street. As a Muslim teenager growing up in Haymarket, I've always wished that there was a place where kids like me could go to connect with others in our community. Right now, there isn't a local Islamic center, and the temporary spaces have been used don't really provide a place for teens to feel comfortable and involved. A permanent Islamic center would mean so much to the kids like me because it would give us space to hang out and learn, somewhere to meet other Muslim teens, make friends, and be part of a community. It would help us stay connected to our faith. Having a local center would make it easier to attend events, learn, and ask questions in a welcoming environment. It would create more opportunities for youth programs, things like volunteering, workshops, and activities that could help us grow and give back to our town. Right now, it can feel like there's nowhere for Muslim teens to go in Haymarket outside of school. Having a dedicated center would really help us feel included and give us a place to where we belong. I really hope you approve this permit and help make this a reality for our community. We have Azman. I'm not even going to try. Very long name starting with an I. I am writing in strong support of the Haymarket Islamic Center application for a permanent prayer space in Haymarket. This effort is vital to meeting the needs of a growing Muslim community in the area. Currently, the nearest masjid is at least 20-minute drive away, making it difficult for residents to attend daily prayers and religious activities. I urge the town council to approve this application as it will provide a much-needed space for worship and community engagement. The permanent Islamic Center in Haymarket will not only benefit local residents, but also promote inclusivity and support the town's diverse population. But we have a Javira Malik. He's a teacher from Haymarket Elementary. I'm writing to express my strong support for the approval of the special use permit for the Haymarket Islamic Center at 14600 Washington Street. As a longtime resident and educator, I see firsthand the importance of having local places of worship that serve our diverse community. Currently, there is no dedicated Islamic center in Haymarket, forcing Muslim residents to travel over 13 miles for prayers and community gatherings. While temporary spaces are being used, they are not adequate, particularly for women and children who often face challenges in having appropriate accommodations for prayer, participation, and religious activities. I understand that some concerns have been raised regarding traffic. However, after reviewing the facts, I believe this concern has been overstated. Limited traffic impact. The only time with notable attendance is Friday afternoon prayers, while daily prayers are attended by only a few individuals. Mitigation measures already in place to minimize impact. Friday services are already offered in 2 different times, reducing the number of vehicles arriving at once. Time avoiding peak traffic hours. Friday prayers occur between 12:30 and 2, while outside the morning and evening rush hours, meaning there's no minimal interference with peak commuting times. Adequate infrastructure. The proposed site is in a commercial district with sufficient parking and road access to accommodate attendees without causing congestion. A permanent Islamic center in Haymarket is not only necessary for religious practice, but also for fostering a more inclusive and welcoming town. The lack of adequate space for women and children further underscores the urgency of this need. I respectfully urge the council to approve this permit so that all members of our community can have a proper place for worship and community engagement. Next one is from Adil Javid. I hope this message finds you well. I'm writing to humbly express my support for the approval of special use permit application 2024-002 for the Islamic Center proposed at 14600 Washington Street. The Haymarket Islamic Center seeks to establish a dedicated place of worship for the Muslim community within our town. Currently, the community utilizes temporary spaces such as West Market Clubhouse for daily prayers and the Hampton Inn Gainesville Haymarket for Friday congregational prayers. The establishment of a permanent center would provide a stable and accessible location for daily prayers and religious observances, eliminating the need for temporary arrangements. Foster community engagement by offering educational programs, charitable activities, and cultural events that would benefit the broader Haymarket community. Promote inclusivity and diversity by acknowledging and supporting the religious needs of the Muslim residents in our town. The proposed location is within the B1 Town Center zoning district, where religious assemblies are permitted with a special use permit. The Haymarket Planning Commission has previously recommended approval of this application with conditions at their January 4th, 2025 meeting. I respectfully urge the council to approve this permit, recognizing the positive impact it would have on our community by providing a dedicated space for worship, community activities for our Muslim neighbors. This one's from the owner of Shahai. There we go. The owner there at 6617 Watts Road. I am supporting our Muslim community to have as neighbors. Okay. Then I have this is from Tahir Shahid at 8346 Crackling Cedar Lane, Gainesville, and Janua Khan at 13062 Sterling Point Drive, Gainesville, and their emails were the same. I hope that you are doing well. I'm writing to express my strong support for the approval of the special use permit for the Haymarket Islamic Center, which is currently under consideration by the town council. This initiative is vital for our community as there is currently no dedicated place of worship for Muslims in the area. The closest one is at least 7 miles away, a 15-minute drive, making it difficult for many families, especially the elderly and those without transportation, to regularly attend prayers and community gatherings. While this town is home to many other religious centers, there is none for the Muslim community. Approving this permit would enhance the town's diversity and inclusivity, ensuring that all residents have a space to practice their faith. Additionally, the center would serve as a place for community engagement, educational programs, and charitable activities that benefit the broader population. This one is from Kamal Janju and Zeshan Janju. Their email is exactly the same, except for they say that the closest one is at least 15-minute drive away. That's the only difference in this. I received several, probably 40 of emails from individuals that the email was exactly the same. So I'm going to read just the one time, but I will tell who these people were so that they are noted for the record.
Thank you.
Okay. So in town, we had Muhammad Abdusalam at 15105 Jackson Square, Haymarket, Atif Munir, 15079 Jackson Square, and Muhammad Khan, he's a realtor at Remax here at 15100 Washington Street, but his residence is 14201 Sharpshund Drive, Gainesville. I have 4 with no address: Altaf Gohar, Afnan Chowdhury, Kumar Hazan, Islar Khan. These other ones were from outside the area. Muhammad Aziz, 2321 at Claude Moore Drive, Ashburn. Yusuf Shintakaya from Chantilly. Quizam Naam, 13161 Sapphire Ridge Place, Bristow. Nicholas Aman, 100293 Three Sisters Court, Bristow. Imran Shakai, 13710 Chardonnay Place, Bristow. Naveed Kingbird, Gainesville. Muhammad Chaudhry, 13930 Barrymore Court, Gainesville. Shahar Mirza, 12053 Paper Birch Lane, Gainesville. Muhammad Munar, 12092 Pepper Birch Lane, Gainesville. Shahjad Sati, 10491 Mans Harbor Court, Gainesville. Shaheed Sami, 8717 Ellis Mill Drive, Gainesville. Muhammad Reza, 14056 Sterling Point Drive, Gainesville. Muhammad Rafiq, 14035 Broughton Place, Gainesville. Tahad Ahmed, 8936 Yellow Leg Court, Gainesville. MD Rahman, 8405 Tack House Loop, Gainesville. Kabar Salek, 14517 Althea Lane, Gainesville. Amar Jamil, 8751 Raleigh Muse, Gainesville. Asim Othman, 8044 Kadamtursk Drive, Gainesville. Nazme Huda, 8622 Innsville Freeway, Gainesville. Rashida Kaman, 18089 Camdenhurst Drive, Gainesville. Hasfa Raymond, 15425 Gotham Store Court, Haymarket. Fayez Ramad, 1425 Gotham Store Court. The rest of these are from Haymarket. Shajila Rahman, 14525 Gotham Store Court. Muhammad Arif Majubedi, 1602 Pops Creek Place. Arsenal Khalid, 8760 Janney's Mill Circle. Dr. Muhammad Ramin, 1455 Stony Creek Court. Jubilee Aline, 6366 Colon Place. Namira Khan, 6773 Leopold's Trail. Iftikhar Khan, 6527 Macklin Street. Muhammad Rashid, 13749 Piedmont Vista Drive. Maria Rahman, 14559 Stony Creek Drive. Aiden Harris, 16742 Leopold's Trail. Arjurman Yamin, 6742 Leopold's Trail. Muhammad Asfan, 14947 Simons Grove Drive. Muhammad Hossein, 5049 Burnside Farm Place. MD Chow, 6216 Lawson Drive. Qazi Islam, 5560 Arrowfield Terrace. Anas Mayan, 17051 Haymarket. Tabark Maya, 7051 Courtyard Way. Jamil Shakik, 6029 Dunbrook Terrace. Ahmad Herndon, 5980 Twin Branch Court. And Muhammad Shakid, 15408 Berry Pond Place. Their emails read, I hope you are doing well. I'm writing to express my strong support for the approval of the special use permit for the Haymarket Islamic Center, which is currently under consideration by the town council. Currently, there is no dedicated place for worship for the Muslim community in our town, with the nearest facility over 13 miles away. This distance poses challenges for many, particularly the elderly and those without reliable transportation, limiting their ability to participate in prayer and community activities. Our town is home to many places of worship, but none serve the Muslim community. Approving this permit would promote diversity and equal access to religious spaces. Beyond being a place of worship, the center would also serve as a hub for community engagement, educational initiatives, and charitable programs that benefit the broader community. This project represents a step toward a more inclusive and welcoming town for all, and I kindly urge you to support the approval of this permit so that members of our community can have equal access to a place of worship. Thank you for your time and dedication to serving our town. That's it.
Thank you very much. Somebody get Kim a glass of water, maybe? All right. I think at this point in time, I just want to recognize and thank you very much for everybody who came out tonight. This is quite a crowd, and I do appreciate everybody coming. So with that said, at this point in time, I am going to close our public hearing. This brings us to our regular meeting and to citizens' time. If there's anyone wishing to address the council, please come to the podium, state your name and address on other matters. Anybody else?
You're stuck with me. I'm going to actually wear 3 hats here tonight. Bob Ware, 6853 St. Paul Drive. First hat I'm going to wear is that of a former member of that august body. Somewhere in the bylaws and in the policy, there is a prohibition against accepting anonymous comments like we saw tonight. And the reason for that is to prevent anonymous drive-bys. I've said plenty of unpopular things from behind this dais and behind similar daises at McCourt, and I've sent similar messages to both the town councils in the past and the board of supervisors in the past, but I always identify who I am, where I am. And I think before we accept any more anonymous comments, we need to take that into concept. So I'll take off my former council member hat and put on my angry taxpayer resident hat. And I can already see it's probably part of Joe's strategy with respect to the budget this year. What would Bob do? I think there's a couple of things you need to keep in mind this year, more so than most any other year. As it stands right now, the county's proposed budget will create they claim, $300 average increase in the tax rate for the average residential home in Prince William County. That number does not apply to Haymarket, as we all know. That number to this part of the market is roughly, probably depending on your house, somewhere between $500 and $800 additional this year. So you need to take that into consideration when you're fixing your tax rate. I shouldn't have to go through the whole flat tax rate versus flat tax bill. You guys know the argument, or at least most of you do. I had this very same argument with the CXO. A flat tax rate is not a flat tax bill. Don't try and fool me. Please don't try and fool the residents. They're much smarter than that. And you know, that's not an argument I really want to get into. I have a number of issues with the format of the revenues and expenditures in the budget spreadsheet, Mr. Treasurer. Particularly with respect to the ARPA notes and the reserve fund notes. It makes you appear to be cutting your budget by 1 some odd million when really that isn't the case, because those ARPA funds and reserve funds should be at the bottom of the budget, not on the revenue side of the agenda or of the ledger. And then the last thing I would note is that if you look at the revenue side of the ledger, you've got plus 200K, give or take, in business taxes. And I thought that's why we passed the meals tax years ago, or we encouraged more businesses here, because, and I believe a former mayor who I disagreed with on a lot of things, asserted that those taxes and those revenues were done to offset the residential real estate tax revenue that we were getting in, and to at some point in time actually think about eliminating it. I just hope you guys take that all into consideration. And then the last hat I'm going to wear tonight is my actual county supervisor hat, because I think you guys should know this before the rest of the county does. I will be issuing a directive tomorrow. I've been working on it with the county attorney and with the CXO, and a directive will essentially absolve every town in the county, that's Dumfries, Occoquan, Quantico, and Haymarket, of the fees to use the shooting range for qualifying practice and other things at the PD Academy. The argument being that every member of this town, every resident of this town, everyone is a taxpayer, both to the town and to the county. We've already paid our fees once. We don't need to pay it twice. So it will save you some small amount of money. I think, what is it, $2,200, $2,400 a year? But something's better than nothing. And I'll see you guys again next month.
Thank you, Bob.
Good evening. Given the large agenda, I'm trying to abbreviate my comments, but Marchant Schneider, 6856 Jockey Club Lane. My comments this evening are in response to last week's work session discussion and the proposed budget. As before, my comments are not commentary regarding town staff. Regarding the rules and procedures discussion, the two finance liaison model was added 4 years ago with the change of council and has arguably outlasted its original purpose. Council revisited the purpose and efficiency of appointing two finance liaisons. Regarding finance meetings, 2 p.m. Wednesday meetings are not practical for residents to attend. Record and post the meetings for public review. This would ensure the transparency of the discussion and any direction given or received. Regarding the Park Pavilion, the ARB took the proactive step of forwarding pavilion design concepts consistent with town ordinances and policies to the council for use as the RFP process, versus the ARB having to be reactionary to a proposed design after the fact. Council, take advantage of collaborating with your advisory bodies on the front end of the land use process. This approach will save you time and money. Regarding the budget, the town staff offers, year after year, the town staff offers the council multiple ways to think strategically about capital projects to include potential funding sources to move these projects forward. Despite this, the town center master plan is now 12 years behind schedule. To date, there are hundreds of thousands of dollars in sunk costs for engineering and consultant services associated with the plan, increasing pedestrian and traffic safety concerns at the property, as well as inefficient use of space to support tenants, town hall, people coming to town hall and town events. The project is ready to be funded for construction with options available to fund the project for a number of years. Yet the council response has been to risk the site plan expiring, incurring further delay and significant increases in costs. Similarly, the town park master plan is 10 years behind schedule, with needs for public spaces and public facilities exponentially increasing over the previous years. Despite these projects being delayed and underfunded, year over year, the council has sought to reduce the real estate tax rate. This has reduced revenues to fund capital projects. Further reduction of the tax rate has also created financial risk, as stated in the benchmark report presented by VML Vaco last summer. The study indicated that continued reduction of the tax rate was a financial risk, as the town's sources of revenue became less diversified and would rely heavily on a revenue source more susceptible to market conditions. Additionally, the town continues to stockpile cash, approaching millions of dollars at this point, yet the council has remained reluctant to invest these monies into capital projects. The same benchmark study indicated the limited investment in capital expenditures was out of step with towns of similar size and not considered to be a best practice. So council, the question remains, how does this fiscal strategy facilitate quality public facilities to residents and businesses in a timely and cost-effective manner? Simply put, it doesn't. Council, you have more financial, technical, and staffing resources than ever before to respond to the town's exponential growth and need for public facilities. And you have the ability to be more impactful within your 2-year term than ever before, but it will require political courage to change the status quo. The key focus of this year's budget should be facilitating investment in and timely delivery of capital projects. To do this, it's recommended the council, 1, fund and contract construction of the town center project using the cash and debt options outlined in the benchmark study. Use profit dollars to fund and contract engineering plans for the park. Phase the park with priority given to the pavilion and bathroom improvements. Use remaining funds or debt options to purchase land for a future municipal parking lot. And council, on this point, don't let the parking lot go to the front of the line. Take care of the projects you've already planned first. Do not entertain proposals to further reduce or eliminate real estate tax until the town center and town park capital projects are fully funded and under contract. As always, council, get trained in government finance and understand the impractical nature of funding public facilities via an all-cash option, such as unreasonable delay of public services and loss of cash option savings through inflation and rising construction costs. Talk with town staff and peers within local governments about the best practices regarding timely delivery and funding of capital projects. And lastly, be prepared for sticker shock. Council, do not allow the continued delay of the town's capital projects. Town residents and businesses reasonably expect a return on their investment with high-quality facilities and community spaces in order to gather, recreate, and encourage further investment in the town. It shouldn't take 12 and 10 years respectively to get these projects done. Please make this the focus of your budget this year. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Anyone else? All right. We will close citizens' time and we will move forward to the next agenda item, to the consent agenda. Would anybody like to pull any reports?
All right. Vice Mayor, may we please pull the town admin report, police chief report, finance liaison report, and community outreach liaison report?
Okay. Are there any other reports?
Yes, I'd like to pull the business liaison report, please.
Business liaison report. Any other reports?
Include all mine.
Okay. All right, we will pull the town administration report. That was on my list too. Councilman Ramirez, you may.
I should make a motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot.
Okay.
I didn't read my cheat sheet.
Oh, that's okay. If I got this right, Mr.
Yes.
I move that the Haymarket Town Council approve consent agenda items A, 1, and 2, B, 2, 4, and 5, and C, 4, and 5.
Second.
Okay.
You missed the community outreach report.
That one was pulled.
That's pulled.
That was pulled. Okay. Do I have a motion to adopt the unpulled consent agenda items?
I think that's what Joe just
That's what
said.
Joe.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I second.
Second.
Did you already
That's what I meant.
second?
That's actually what
Okay.
I meant to ask for. Do you have a second?
Alexander.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, let's move to the pulled items. Councilman Ramirez.
Thank you. So I wanted to ask for an update. I think in the work session, we discussed the stormwater assessment and that you were going to touch base with the county. Has anything been updated or clarified since then?
Yes, so we received an email end of last week. I believe it was actually on Friday from our contact at the county. And we're waiting on some final things to go through at the EPA level. And then we'll be able to do another kickoff meeting and officially release our third-party contractor to start doing the work. So that should happen in about 1 to 2 weeks.
Okay.
So hopefully by work session, you'll have another update. If not, then by our April meeting.
Perfect. Could you also offer another update on the park building demolition?
Yes, so we are waiting on the final approval letters from the utilities. Our point of contact at Dominion was out on a work conference, but came out last week and did notify us that power was still connected to the structure. That will be taken care of in the temporary setup. Once that's disconnected and the temporary setup will receive the approval letter to proceed forward with the official demolition permit from the county.
Wonderful.
While
Moving-
I'm on the park, if you don't mind, real quick.
Sure.
The crosswalk was completed. We are waiting for the crosswalk signs to be fully installed this week, and then the lights will be scheduled to go up on March 13th is what we currently have on the books. That is weather dependent, depending on if they need to shift other things in their schedule, and then if, time comes, they need to shift on us due to weather as well.
And
Does that include signage and everything else for the crosswalk?
That's correct. That
Okay.
they started putting that up today, and the rest of it should be installed this week.
Okay.
Thank you. Wanted to move on to, I saw the Crossroads Art Alliance agreement. I feel like we as a council had discussed the details of that. Is there something like in writing that you could maybe send out to council that's currently standing, or what we can offer guidance on?
Soon.
Okay.
That is currently in the works. That's something between town staff and the town attorneys that we're working on.
Oh, okay, perfect. I see here that we're gonna put the canopy up at the park starting middle of this month, hopefully, if weather behaves. So that will be
Like it's
exciting.
getting nicer, so we'll schedule it sooner and hope that it cooperates.
Wonderful. I also saw in your meeting with the CXO something about grant opportunities. Is there going to be a specific staff member who's going to be delegated to grant research or anything like that?
Not at this time. So what I specifically requested from the CXO is that essentially how the meetings are run is the CXO comes to the 4 town heads. It's typically the town manager. However, there was a mayor that did join us last time from Quantico. And so he presents to us what's currently happening down at the county level. This past meeting was all in regards to the budget and what he was going to be proposing later that week and the following weeks to the county board of supervisors. At the end of that meeting, he asked us what we wanted to hear about at our next quarterly meeting. I did put it out there that I wanted to hear about grant opportunities and how the town could work with the county, whether it be with their grant office to learn about opportunities that we could apply for and get assistance from them on that, as we have done in the past, or if there are opportunities that they could point us to, and then we internally take care of those. So they're going to come back to us with some more information, and we'll go from there. If we see that there's a need or an option, I will speak with council and we can make decisions on what grants we might want to apply for, and we'll designate staff time accordingly.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that clarification. I flagged something. Give me one moment. I apologize. I apologize. I didn't put a Post-it, so please bear with me. I apologize. There was the Jefferson Fayette Street site plan. Could you elaborate a bit on the update from February 25th, or someone from staff elaborate, please?
Certainly. So some history on the project, because there are some new faces on our council. So several years back, there was a interested developer who purchased 2 lots that sat on the corner of Jefferson and Fayette Street near the railroad tracks. We went through the process prior COVID of having those lots rotated so that they front Fayette Street and driveways would come off of Fayette Street. We started site plans prior to COVID, and we worked through COVID with this developer and their site engineer, and we had all of the site plans approved, ready to go. They came to the ARB. We had the ARB approve, I believe it was actually under Ken as the chair at the time. He wasn't even mayor yet. Approved the look of the houses and everything was good to go. At some point in that, the property owner decided to sell. So a new purchaser came in. There was an expansion to the houses that they wanted to do and a site plan amendment was needed. So it did not trigger anything on our end based on what we have set in our ordinance for an amendment. We had an approval letter from VDOT that said that, you know, we approve your driveway access onto the VDOT roadway, which was Fayette Street. We approve the other improvements that you're doing within the easement way here. So that would have been curb and gutter as well as the sidewalk. We do require the sidewalk per our zoning ordinance. Now what has happened is they have submitted, because they need to do that modification, they had to submit again to VDOT. VDOT has thrown a flag on it and said they never saw the site plan and they want to go back and have a relook at it. And they're saying that the sidewalk is not appropriate in the easement way there. And they're trying to do what's similar to over here on Fayette Street where there's no sidewalk, but there is a, stormwater drain that's kind of more of like just the natural gully area there, and then a pipe under the driveway. And so what Thomas has done is he has pulled the approval letter that we have previously dated on the site plan with VDOT signature on it. And we will be meeting with Dick Burke at 1 p.m. on Thursday. For those of you who are not familiar, Dick Burke is the director of the Nova region. So it has been escalated pretty high up in VDOT. So we'll be bringing it all up. We'll be talking about everything with the original engineer, with the site superintendent who triggered all of this issue. We'll bring the approval letter, we'll bring our ordinance, and we'll see what we can do. But we are going to fight for maintaining that we want a sidewalk there. That is our zoning ordinance requirement. And we do have a zoning approval, or we do have a VDOT approval letter that previously stated this was no issue. So we are quite concerned how the site superintendent was able to trigger this and get it as high up as he did with Dick Burke. So that's where we stand. I will happily send an email out Friday in the weekly highlights. I'll be getting back to that so I can send an update Friday and let you guys know how it goes.
I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. And just kind of for awareness, and I know you know this, but they, when the latest email request, they did copy the mayor and myself on that request. So that was my request, is if you could notify the entire council
Yes.
what the results of that are. So
And
we're informed.
we will be meeting at 10 a.m. with VDOT on Thursday. Tomorrow we'll be bringing in the original engineer, civil engineer who did the original site plans, and we'll be talking with him on this. So I do believe that was the email that possibly mayor and vice mayor, if not all of council, were copied on
Yeah, it
with
was just-
Mr. Basham.
I think it was just the two of us. That's why I
Okay.
wanted to make this aware for everybody.
Okay. So I'll flag that to give an update on Friday, on what we figure out with VDOT. And if for any reason we're still at a standstill, I'll keep you guys posted accordingly.
Perfect. Did anybody else have anything for the?
On the admin report, yes.
I'll be quick. White Drive Townhouses, Magnolia Crossing. I got down here as a status that site plan has been approved. But as I look at the Planning Commission liaison memo, it says that it was canceled. So is there a conflict here? When was it approved?
Let me pull up the approval from the Planning Commission.
Yeah, was that the January meeting or?
The Planning Commission approval for this site plan would have taken place in 2024. So let me look through old agenda items minutes on that, if I can pull it up.
Yeah, because January 29th, we had a conditional approval. So I was assuming that the conditions were applied then.
Is the question mainly on the conditions of the approval rather than the approval itself?
Well,
Just to
kind of,
clarify.
You know, 'cause I know there was some, a dispute going on between the developer and the affected residents surrounding the area. And I'm assuming that's where the conditional came in?
The conditions mostly came in because of, there was an engineer that was designing the plan. It would then be sold off to the eventual builder, which is Water Creek Homes, that champions the Magnolia Crossing plan. Additionally, there were concerns brought up about a couple of Service Authority, now Prince William Water related items. The conditions of approval within the Planning Commission's recommendation for approval was related to ARB exterior elevations, which had not previously been approved prior to the site plan being brought to the Planning Commission, as well as a couple of other outstanding items such as the change in ownership, the ARB approval, those kinds of things. Since then, the elevations have been brought to the Architectural Review Board from October through December. They were then approved with conditions, and the applicant has since met the conditions for ARB approval. I've also reached out to Prince William Water regarding the potential sewage issues in case of overflow backup. Their response was more, they felt it was fine. Additionally, it is out of our purview as town since we mostly focus on zoning items. So with all those resolved, it was in our decision that approval should go through. There's still a transfer of ownership. Bonds have not been submitted yet, and the deed and plat are still under review. But as far as the site plan itself, it has been signed and all conditions have been met for approval.
So on the approval, were the concerns of the surrounding residents addressed and I guess worked out?
Yes, I would say adequately so.
Okay, that's all I had.
Anybody else for the?
Okay, thank you. So just a couple of comments and maybe a question or two. Relative to the RFP for the sidewalk, took a look at the milling and paving and the completion of that project, and I think you guys made a very good decision, staff. The way it feathers into the existing roadway network, it came out really nice. And I think that change order was worth it. So I just wanted to say that. And the signage is really starting to look good. Looking forward to seeing those lights in there and maybe looking at some more positive ways of, for lack of a better term, policing the crosswalk. But we've heard some comments here tonight about that. The communications plan, thank you, Vice Mayor and staff for moving that forward. I see that you met, and I don't want to step on your business report, but I think that's good, moving forward with that. I have a question about GoGov app, one of our favorites, our Haymarket app. Since we approved the feature that allowed feedback, are we keeping track? Are we getting a lot of feedback? How's that working?
Councilmember Pastanello, I am going to just rip it off like a Band-Aid. I
Oh,
think this
right.
one got dropped a little bit when I went out on maternity leave. So we will be launching the new feature here very shortly. We have contacted the company and we're going to get that set up. It is in process. So as soon as it goes live, we'll start blasting it out there that it is live, and then certainly be keeping track of the data once it starts coming in. What we can do is I have had Julia and Alexandra go ahead and start separating their work items in the administration report. So we will have Julia add in there as she gets numbers coming in. She will be the main contact on the form, and she'll help to filter out who the requests go to. So depending if it is tax related, a zoning related matter, she'll help us there. So we will track that data along with our downloads.
Okay, that's excellent. I wasn't trying to put you on the spot.
No, it's okay.
I wasn't really even paying attention, but I read the report and I was
Yep.
curious about that.
No, it did pop up in our communications meeting the other week. So it came back on the top of our radar.
And how's the growth going with that? Are we getting much more action on there by residents and others?
That one I'll have to follow up with you on the data.
Okay. I just don't want to take away from the Vice Mayor's business report, but I will say that was a great meeting at the roundtable. I'm glad I went. I'm going to keep my comments to just my discussion with Uriah Kaiser, who was the keynote speaker. And he made a suggestion that you all might want to consider. The mayor down in, I think it's Occoquan, he does a podcast. And that's how he communicates to the town and others who may have an interest in that. So that's just something he suggested, and I said I would share it with you all. Okay. Strategic plan implementation, that's great. I'm glad you guys are moving forward with that. With respect to your meeting with the CXO, one of the things that we heard a lot about tonight, traffic. And I'm wondering if we can get that into the discussions about how we can see the county investing more in the town. Now, our supervisor's in the back, he hears me, but I mean, I think it needs to be broached with the CXO as well. He needs to understand that we're taxpayers and there's been a disincentive, I think, from the county. So I would hope that we could entertain that and get more of the discussion. Okay, great. Thank you. A couple more things. I noticed, which I really liked, a reference to the strategic business plan.
Yes, so I have asked, hopefully you'll start seeing a lot more of it, but I've asked all staff members that when they work on a work item and they put it into the administrative report, if it directly relates to an initiative in our strategic plan, that they give you the full reference. So until we're all a little bit more comfortable with what those goals and initiatives are, you'll see it stated out in parentheses there, exactly what goal and what initiative that work item's addressing. So I do believe Julia and Kim were able to both directly go ahead and add things that they were working on in there.
I was going to mention that. Yes. So thank you, Town Clerk. I put a little note here. Excellent. You referenced, let's see, strategic item, goal number 2, promote fiscal responsibility and organizational excellence, section 2.4. So for me, I mean, I think we should be tying everything back into the SPP whenever we can, because that's our guide, right? So, and the other one I think was Julia, right?
And Alexandra.
And Alexandra, that's correct. Yep. Yeah, Alexandra was the 4.6, foster economic development, tourism support, town businesses. Oh, actually, that's Julia. And then Alexandra is the 4.5. So I think that's great and look forward to you continuing to do that. Thank you.
Justin, and we'll go to Alexander.
All right, I'll make mine quick. This is just for Kim, kind of the relaunching of, what is this, TANV meetings? Can I get,
Yes.
can I get a kind of an update, just being new and kind of where that goes or how that's kind of coming along?
A little history. Back in probably 2007, 2008, the mayor of Herndon and the town manager of Herndon developed this TAMV, which is, oh my gosh, I don't remember what TAMV stands for, but it's for Northern Virginia.
It's Town Association.
Town Associations of Northern Virginia. So they meet quarterly. The mayor and the town managers of all the localities get together and they network and throw suggestions at one another. And so they met quarterly up to about 2022 when COVID was at its height. And so the last time they've had a TAMV meeting was in 2022. Mayor Pater went to the VML conference and connected up with the mayor from Leesburg. And the mayor from Leesburg said, hey, have you ever heard of TAMV? And she, of course, said no. So she got a little schooling on what TAMV was because the mayor of Leesburg has been trying to relaunch this. So with the support of Mayor Pater and some help from the people in Leesburg, we are going to relaunch TAMV. With the suggestion that Haymarket be the first host. Usually they go, each town would host in a quarterly. So could be Leesburg next, Occoquan, Dumfries, Herndon, and so we're working on trying to get it up and moving by spring, by June, and have our first relaunching of TAMV.
That would be huge.
That's so funny because at VML, I was talking to the mayor of Vienna and the town of Herndon. And I told both of them, hey, we haven't done this in a while. We got to get this started again. So, I mean, all 4 of us, Leesburg, Haymarket, Vienna, and Herndon,
have agreed at that meeting to go ahead and try to move forward with it. And it's great to see that we're sparking it as the first host.
And I'll just add one of the ideas that Kim and I kind of had talked about, and Mayor, is we're one of the smaller towns when you talk about those three, and we want to make sure that our other small towns know that they're welcome and invited as well. So we will be, I'll be having Kim reach out directly to those smaller towns and really extending that invite so everyone knows that we're here to network together and help, and that you're not too small to join us.
Yeah, I thought it was, when I saw that in your report, I thought that was huge. And it just came up because I went to the VML and just seeing the network and getting kind of different perspectives from everybody. And it seems like everybody on the dais also wants to see this go through. So thank you.
Can I just?
As long as it's on that, because I know Alexander.
Yeah, it's on that topic, yeah. Some of us don't necessarily agree with the idea, but I think it's a great idea. And I think the reason why, I think the ability, yeah, networking is fine, but I think also when you sit down and you start talking about issues, there's a familiarity there, right? Everybody has a lot of the same issues. Some are bigger, or smaller, and there's a lot of idea sharing, solution brainstorming, decision kind of brainstorming, solutions for those problems that we're all facing. And in that regard, I think there's some value there. And so looking forward to maybe starting that up and also getting, as the town manager says, the other small locations involved, the smaller towns, because strength in numbers is really where it's at. So that's my thought.
Okay. Alexander?
So Thomas, following up on the Blight Drive Townhome development. So based on what you shared, it looks like the county does not have an issue or don't see an issue with the developer being able to connect sewer to the one on Sycamore, right? Because that the same assessment, same conclusion by the town engineer as well?
Yes, per the town engineer's recommendation, she recommended approval for the site plan. In my conversation with Prince William Water, they cited the Prince William Service Authority approval letter that had previously been issued, as well as more of a direct conversation about what the town's responsibilities are over versus Prince William Water and an establishment of that. Additionally, if there does become an issue, as an example of what's happened over Crossroads Village, the Kitty Academy site plan, Prince William Water required another fire hydrant to be installed, which then required another plan revision. In the case that anything does come up with Blight Drive Townhomes, Magnolia Crossing, it may be flagged again in future review in case that letter needs to be updated.
Okay, just curious, after they connect to the sewer line off Sycamore, if there is some sort of an adverse after effect, right? Who would be responsible for addressing the issue? Would it be the developer, the Prince William County Water and Sewer? I'm just curious. Do you know?
I would need to look into what responsibilities noted in deed and plat as well as approved site plan. I can get back to you on that.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. Let's move on to the police chief report. Councilwoman Ramirez, I believe you pulled that.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor. I wanted to give a shout out to our police department for really stepping up the traffic enforcement this month. I really deeply appreciate you guys enforcing the speeding. As we know, traffic is a major issue. We want this town to stay pedestrian friendly and safe. So ensuring people's speeds are appropriate is really important. So I appreciate that. I do also want to note that in the traffic stops summary, you stated that there were 144 stops, 70 of which received summons, and then 81 received warnings. So even though you are still enforcing the law, you're still using discretion more so than that. So just to be clear, the police department is not out to get people, but they are there to ensure that we are safe here. So thank you guys for that.
Yes, ma'am.
If we could turn to page 24 in the packet, I don't recall seeing this graph before, but I was wondering if you could clarify the verbiage here. It says DMV grant hyphen non-DMV grant summons data. Could you elaborate or describe what non-DMV grant means?
Yes, ma'am. Councilman Benyay, I think it was 2 months ago, wanted to start seeing a difference between the traffic summonses written during DMV grant hours and traffic summonses being written during non-DMV grant hours.
Okay.
So now I did not include it since we track the DMV grant quarterly. I mean, we do track the numbers as we go, but it's a quarterly report. I did not include anything on this quarter, but the first quarter that you can see the difference between summonses written during grant hours or actual grant hours and then non-grant hours.
So just to make sure I'm comprehending it correctly, non-DMV grant means regular officer time.
Regular
The
patrol
one that our budget funds.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I appreciate that clarification. Thank you. I also wanted to highlight, where's our county supervisor? Did he leave already? Oh. So I see out of town activity has gone up slightly from last month, but our support from them has gone down. So I was really hoping that Bob was here to hear this. Like Councilmember Passanello mentioned earlier, we also pay county taxes, so I'm disappointed that we have received zero support from them this month. Whether it's needed or not, I think that the county needs to start investing in this side of the county more and us as well. So, that was just a small little rant. I apologize. I wanted to highlight and welcome Officer Rickson Madigan. I see in your current projects and events that they have completed FTO, and I'm excited to see them out and about. I know my husband's gotten a chance to meet Officer Rick. I unfortunately have not, except for tonight. Let me see here. I want to highlight that on April 24th at Park Valley Church, you're going to be doing the Senior Summit again. I'm really excited for that. Please let us know on council if we can support you in any way. And I'm sure I'm going to be wanting to hear more about it as we get closer and it gets finalized.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you, however, elaborate on the status of the Comfort Station project? I know we've talked about it briefly here before.
Yes, ma'am. We had an assessment meeting several months ago where they actually came in and looked at our facility. I mean, and I'm talking about emergency management with Prince William County. And we went over the details of what would be needed, what they thought about the facilities, and to actually get their blessing to have it as a comfort station if a natural occurrence or some event occurred that we would need it. So also in that was actually using funds to get those items checked off of our list and to get the comfort station moving forward. So we finally did get the written assessment that they did and got affirmation that they would support the funds that we use to get that up and running. Which the biggest cost on that is actually going to be the generator. You want to be able to still run the facility should the electricity be out. So we'll have to work with a vendor to make sure that we get the proper generator in place to support the comfort station and to keep governance running here as well. So that'll be the biggest expense, and we'll start on that project very soon now that we actually have the assessment. The other items are very menial and things that we can address very easily.
Is this something that staff and yourself, Chief, plan to present maybe to council or to just the public at a meeting by chance?
Yes, ma'am. We are, and that way they'll know the details of exactly what's going to go forward.
Okay.
Of course, we're in the middle of budget, so that's like the priority at the moment for sure, to make sure that's the low hanging fruit, so to speak, that we're addressing. And then once we get that addressed and sent to council for review, then we can start moving on to this project.
And I would just add to that, we did get confirmation back that we will need to amend our procurement policy if we want to utilize a group such as Sourcewell, where there are already government bids out there and you want to do a single source. So we will be talking about that with our two finance liaisons this week during our finance meeting of what that procurement policy amendment would look like. And then we will go to council from there. So that could be coming up on your upcoming work session.
Perfect. That's all I have. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes. So regarding the outside agency hours spent responding to Haymarket calls for service, the 0 hours,
Yes, sir.
I reached a different conclusion than Councilwoman Mary here. I thought the 0 hours is because our officers handled all the service calls. There was no need for.
Correct.
Is that correct?
They,
Okay.
they do support us if we ask, but we have not had a reason to ask. But now, also, they do patrol the town as well as we do, right? So they're still welcome to come in and enforce the law as we all see fit. But we have not had an instance to where we have had to call them for assistance in this reporting period.
Okay, all right, sounds good. And looking at the eastbound weekly traffic volume, I like how it's laid out here and the fact that, moving forward, we'll be able to capture such data. When do we plan on starting capturing the same for the westbound traffic?
We are already capturing that, but I did not have a big enough volume of days to actually give you something that would be tangible information that you could use or be relevant. So I elected just to go 0. We're very thankful that Matt Burrows, our maintenance guy, got it up and running. But of course, he's got his things to do too. But it is up and running. It is collecting data, and on the next monthly report, you'll see the westbound data as well.
Okay. Any plans to do the same for Jefferson?
The town manager and I have discussed this and also discussed it with VDOT. There's some hoops to jump through to get a permanent fixture like we have on the east and the west side of town with VDOT. We can still get that data with the speed sign message board that we acquired this year. And again, the weather is changing a little bit, thank God. And so we will be able to deploy that sign without fear of it being on the back of somebody's tractor trailer going down 66 somewhere. So we'll be able to deploy that sign and get a lot of the same data, even though not having that fixed sign. And that it has the potential to help us with the data we would need to get a permanent fixture. But there is some hoops to jump through to have those permanent fixture signs.
Because it would be ideal if we can, because for some of the things that we're trying to address, right? To have some sort of a
Very
complete
relevant.
picture
There's
is-
very relevant data, as you can see. And of course, it does so much more than that. These are just snapshots. But also it would be beneficial along Street Commons. We want to slow that traffic down. You do have a lot of people that crosses the road there, especially during the farmer's market season. And it would be beneficial to remind people to slow down there. So it does have a safety benefit as well as a data benefit.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Chief. All right.
Yes,
That's
sir.
all I have.
All right.
Can I just piggyback on that?
Councilman
Go
Passanel?
ahead, yeah. Well, I was thinking, dangerous thing.
Cogitating?
Yeah, cogitating, yeah. But getting back to what Councilmember Vianney said and referencing back to what Councilmember Ramirez was talking about at our last meeting, I think, with Long Street Common and traffic flow on Carolina Road. Now, I've heard that there's very difficult to put in traffic signaling on 55, snow emergency and things of that nature. What would be the prohibition for doing some more affirmative signs along Carolina Road, particularly on the other side? Maybe something that could help meter the traffic, maybe stop sign. I mean, I know it would be difficult in some locations because of the line of sight. That would be somewhat problematic. I get that. But is there something that we can do affirmatively that would work and that VDOT might find acceptable? And if not, what can we do to change VDOT's mind? And that's both for you and the town manager.
Well, I think we can open up that dialogue with VDOT and explain to them our circumstances and our preferences on that, and then let them come back with what would be plausible, what can be done, and then what hoops would need to be jumped through to get those items done. I can't really speak for VDOT. To me, really having a fixed speed sign on Jefferson, especially near Long Street Commons, is a no-brainer. When you talk to VDOT, it's a different story, line of sight, different things like that, elevation. So yeah, they have their own parameters, and I really can't speak to it outside of that. I don't know if the town manager would have anything to add, but I think it's a better question for them to answer at the end of the day.
I'm going to take the opportunity Thursday at 10 a.m. to ask Mr. Burke to come have a meeting out here in the nice town of Haymarket with myself and Chief. I think we're long overdue for a meeting, and if we can raise a measly sidewalk in front of 2 residential properties as a red flag issue on VDOT, then I think we can talk about all our other red flags here in the town of Haymarket.
Can I just share my former president that I used to work with? His statement to me always, don't come to me with problems, come to me with solutions. Don't tell me what I can't do. Tell me what I can do. And I think that's really what we need to do with VDOT. Because we hear a lot of negatives, you can't do this, you can't do that. We've got to come up with a plan to do something better. And that's really important on Carolina Road. I mean, we heard tonight all about the traffic, right, on 55. Well, we've got to do some stuff there too. And I know you're working hard at it, but what can we do?
Yes, sir. Understood.
Thank you.
Anything else? Yes.
Yep.
Councilman Lynch.
Yeah, going back to some of the, I guess, graphs you had, traffic summons report. You do see that there's an increase in it for January and February. Just to clarify for any new readers out there, since I'm familiar with it. But as you can see, the blue line is definitely lower on the year to date. Just wanted to say this is an accumulation chart as opposed to what's actually happening. So make that aware for people. Just wanted to confirm that with you, right?
Sir, you're correct.
Also, the January, February eastbound weekly traffic volume. We got nice low numbers for week 1 and week 2. Just want to make sure that's partial data, correct?
It is partial data.
So, yeah, as you can see, we pretty much stayed pretty level over the past 3 weeks.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, just wanted to make note of that that is partial data. And also, I would like to have a brief summary of how Polar Plunge went.
Cold. Very cold. I will say this is that was the 4th one, and that was the coldest. That was it took some recovery time after that one. I could barely make it back to the truck. Usually I try to high five all the divers. Man, I made it to that first one and I was back out. So, but it was good. It was a good time. It was a good event, well planned and well done, and raised over 130,000 for Virginia's Special Olympic athletes. So it's all worthwhile, all worthwhile. And I'm sure that I'll see each of you out there with me next year, starting with Olon. He'll be the first in, lead the way, carry the flag. I heard shore. Did you hear that?
I know what you're looking at.
The elf should make an
Yeah,
appearance as well.
Buddy will attend.
The elf is becoming the town mascot.
So,
all right. Anything else on the police report?
I would like to add one thing if none of the council members have anything. And I'm sorry for this late notice. I got the dates after I had to submit the report. But since the short turnaround and we are having 2 of them this month, we are holding 4 women's self-defense classes in the next 3 months. And the first one is on March 12th. The second one is on March 24th. The third will be April 23rd, and the fourth will be May 5th. And we may have some more dates to go. Yeah, that's right. So I thought it was very important to get that out there because those classes fill up really quick. So Lieutenant Davis was gracious enough to get a couple more on the books. So the ladies had a better opportunity to attend.
That's great. Thank you for doing that.
How do they register for that?
We'll put some stuff online, but it's going to be through Next Level and also Jazzercise, Haymarket Jazzercise. They'll be putting some stuff out as well. The classes usually fill up within a day or 2 and are packed out. So as soon as that comes up, if anybody is watching for it, they should click on the links and get to where they need to go.
It is already out on Next Level.
Okay, is it already on Next Level? Good deal. Good deal. So, and it's 2 classes each, 2 at Next Level and 2 at Haymarket Jazzercise. So, but we'll get that out on social media.
The chief, it looks like you have one Kung Fu master. Do you have others?
Yeah.
All righty, let's move on to the finance liaison report.
Thank
Councilmember
you.
Ramirez.
Yes, me again. I want to say I appreciate the other items comments section at the bottom. I appreciate the descriptiveness and the heads up on all of these things, so thank you for adding those. I was hoping if you could, either of you, elaborate a bit on what your second point is, the review FY 2025 actuals versus budget and discuss key areas of interest. Did you have any specific concerns or interest points that you discussed that you'd like to share with us?
I mean, I can share one of my observations. I think, Chief, we discussed it, right? There were a couple of line items where you had exceeded the budget item. And I think last month I had to put in my report that according to the chief, even though that's the case, right, at the end of the day, at the end of the year, fiscal year, he was not, the police department was not going to exceed
Correct.
the total budget amount.
Correct.
So that's basically comparison of budget versus actual.
Okay.
I don't know if,
One of those was in the package page 53, where we have a bullet point that mentions the PD line item on number 311005, salaries and wages part-time, which is a very challenging line item, and there are really good reasons for it. But, you know, the overall, like Alexander is saying, overall, Chief is running and managing his budget very well, in our opinion. So we're happy with that.
Okay.
And just to be clear, you know, what we do when we talk about that is we ask them to tell us where are areas of concern that you have pointed out to us so that we can share it with everybody else on council. So that's part of it. It's a give and take. We're not just targeting areas. We're asking our staff who know this budget better than anybody, where are those areas that you feel are problematic? And, you know, how are we going to resolve those? Those are the types of discussions that we have.
even if they don't identify it as problematic, right? It's up to us to review
Right.
the budget versus the actuals. And if we see things where we've exceeded the budget amount, that we have discussion as to why that is, right? If we need to increase the budget in terms of doing some, you know, having Roberto propose some sort of an adjustment or amendment, right? Things of that sort, but it's just tracking where we are, where we stand in relation to budget.
Were there any other points of concern, just the one listed later in the descriptive notes that you can recall?
Yes.
That was the major one?
Yes.
Okay.
Didn't make it in there, but I think we've talked about it, and I think it's in the report too. And it might even be addressed in the proposed budget coming forward. Snow removal and how we busted that budget. But I don't think that's anybody's fault or a bad projection or anything. We just got hit pretty hard this year.
Yeah.
And we're trying to feel our way with the new policy, so.
And then I was hoping if you could, the way that I'm seeing this is the top portion, the first little chunk of this report is kind of like the staple of what we typically see in the finance liaison report.
It's
And
basically
then,
pro forma.
yeah, and then the bottom is a bit more descriptive. So am I to assume that the discuss on an as needed basis implies the items discussed are then later noted down at the bottom?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're not discussed at all.
Okay.
But it's there to remind us that these things, we might want to discuss them at a future date. So,
Okay.
But I think it's a great template, like Roberto said last week.
Okay.
Yeah, this is not intended to be meeting minutes, right? I know that we discussed that
No, no,
during the
no,
work
no.
session, right? So we're not going to capture everything. I don't have time personally to capture every single thing that's said during the meeting. That would take my focus away from our discussion, right? And I don't think I'll, ever commit to taking meeting minutes for the finance liaison meeting. I'll be upfront, right? Yeah, I'm not going to do that. So.
Can I add to that?
Yeah.
I think one of the things we're working on, as we discussed last week, the roles and responsibilities of each of the liaisons. And I noticed that the vice mayor has a little blurb in his report this week. But Alexander and I are doing are trying to prepare that, but essentially the role of the liaison is the counterpoint between the staff and the council.
Mhm.
So we're available. I mean, and we even say in our minutes, staff is always available to answer questions, and you can go directly to staff. You might hear something a little bit different. I don't know. But, our role is to kind of be the eyes and ears for the council, because council members are doing other things.
Right,
And that's essentially our role.
right. So when I read this report, I should read it on if it's needed, it is noted down below.
Sometimes, if it's needed. Sometimes we don't talk about it.
Right, but if it is needed,
Yeah.
you make note of
We
it.
would make note of it.
Okay, perfect. So I appreciate that clarification, and I really do appreciate the descriptive pieces down at the bottom. I did wonder if you had an update, Councilmember Passanello, with the final point about the status report on the fleet.
Yes. the
Did you
inventory.
receive that?
I did, but I haven't had a chance to review it yet.
Okay, do you think that you could forward that to all of council?
I sure could.
Perfect, thank you. And that's it.
Anything further on the finance liaison report? Councilman Larson.
Yep, I see in here, I guess, current projected property assessments with a flat tax rate and all that. How detailed do you guys get in these discussions with this, since it's driving our budget?
I'm going to bounce that over to Roberto.
So the current assessments for the proposed budget, it's an estimated number. That's why I wrote the estimated on the draft, as we have not received the final. In fact, I'm hoping I'll get the final by March 17th. So I'll have a little bit more detailed specific breakdowns on parcels by our work session for the budget, proposed budget.
Okay. Yeah, I just bring it up to identify what kind of discussions are going on it, because I know resident Weir is very astute to what's going on here and would like to see this get flattened in the sense of tax bill as opposed to tax rate. So that'll be a discussion for our budgets.
Another time.
Yes.
Anything else on the finance liaison? Yes, Councilman Baker.
Yes, for the salary budget impact, proposed a 5.5%, and then the 12% for insurance. Will that impact any overall expenditures?
Okay, so are we still on the finance liaison report?
We're on the
Okay.
We're on
Because
the
you guys are
finance
talking about
liaison
budget
report.
stuff
We
and
haven't
that's in
discussed
another
budget
agenda
conversation
item.
yet.
So I'm trying to be clear
They
on it.
didn't pull your
'cause-
report, though.
They didn't pull that.
We didn't pull
report
your
yet.
budget. We didn't pull your report, and we're talking about the finance liaison report specifically.
Right, so when we talked, so to be clear, the finance liaison report really didn't get into the nitty-gritties of the proposed budget.
Okay.
This is the first time they're seeing it as well. It was more of an overview. But once we get to that section in tonight's meeting, we're more than happy to talk a little bit more about it.
Gotcha.
But for the purpose of the finance liaison, just to be clear, it was more, they got an overview of what we planned. But just like the rest of council, today's the first time they saw it as well.
And it is important to note that we didn't give any direction or set the, any type of tone.
No,
or,
this,
you know.
staff prepares staff proposed budget that we'll discuss.
All right, we shall move on to the business liaison report. Councilman Vianney, you asked about that one.
Yes, Vice Mayor. So it looks like, based on what I see under the activities, there were some sort of questions and discussion with the Virginia National Bank. And I believe it's related to the Chick-fil-A SUP. Is there anything that you can share with us?
Sure. Yes, you're correct. At the business roundtable, which Councilman Passanello noted before, was very well attended. Some good conversation there. I was approached at the conclusion of that meeting as we were kind of congregating in the back about and I apologize, but I do not remember her name. I can remember faces, I can remember names in a conversation quickly, never both. That's why I need business cards laid out with everybody's names in front of them. The crux of the conversation was they were asking about the Chick-fil-A SUP to expand the drive-through. They expressed deep concern. As a bank manager, to express deep concern about that, simply stating that they were having issues with parking as it was right now, that most of the Chick-fil-A employees do actually park over there at the bank, that they, with the addition of the dentist office, which has actually gotten quite busy, that there are times when the bank customers actually are not able to even get into the bank at all to conduct their business. It has been a point of frustration for them. I encouraged her to come to town hall to speak on this during citizens time. I asked her to, certainly voice her concerns with the town staff, with myself, which she did verbally. And that was kind of where we left it. But there was definitely a frustration on her part about that it would significantly impact their business.
Thank you.
No problem. Sure, go for it.
I was wondering if you could keep us updated on the Solheim Cup or the LIV golf event in June. Do you know like any details? Are you going to work with staff on that or?
It was discussed very briefly. It was actually raised by one of the local businesses as they were talking about the Solheim Cup last year. I think what I heard, and Emily, correct me if I'm wrong here, but one of the comments that was made was that some of the businesses didn't feel like everything that went into the Solheim Cup, all the big kind of press about it, that the Haymarket businesses weren't really all that well impacted. There was a comment that most of the attendees there, they were busing them in from Jiffy Lube Live, so therefore they never actually came into the town itself unless they were staying at the hotel. So that they didn't feel it was a big impact. However, they did express that they might be interested in what more could potentially done for the upcoming LIV tournament that's going to be happening at RTJ in Gainesville. It's June, I want to say like 6th to 10th or something along those lines. So that's where we kind of walked away from that thinking we'd look into, and I think staff was going to look into just kind of what some options were. I know last year we did a kind of a gift, Haymarket gift basket. I think we call them like the wedding kind of gifts type thing for everybody that had checked into the hotel for the tournament.
You like swag?
Yeah, swag bag. Yeah, so we're considering that as well.
Cool. Awesome.
Just
That's
to
all I
make sure
had.
we support our businesses.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to the community outreach liaison report.
Thank you. I pulled my own because I was only able to send the agenda because I had not met with staff yet prior to the packet being sent out. I did want to kind of update everyone and say that the youth and government program that I was hoping to host in the spring, I will instead push to the fall. I am going to meet with the high school civics government teacher who encourages his students to attend meetings to kind of get a gauge on what would be appropriate for his students and see if we can integrate some things in the fall. Staff will obviously be there and participating and supporting that meeting. We did touch quite a bit on the open house for elementary aged families. I think it was a really great program. I think that it was well received. I really appreciated my colleagues up here supporting it, and also Supervisor Weir coming to read, and it was lovely. We also had some school board members, and I really think that that was a really nice personal touch. And then they got a almost like VIP tour of the police department as well, and got to see police cars, and it was a very successful event. So I've been focusing on that. If anybody has feedback for that, I will be meeting again with staff on March 18th. So if you have ideas for that or wish to support it, or feedback from last year of where we could improve, please let us know. I will also be meeting with Chief on the 5th, this Wednesday, and staff to kind of talk about where, as a community outreach liaison, where council can kind of pop in, and I'll share that with you guys and see how we can support the PD and their fun events that they do. And that was really the focus. I did want to follow up on the initiative/champion document. Being the community outreach liaison, I've had the privilege of promoting several programs, and I appreciate the council's support in that. I received feedback from both the town manager and the mayor about streamlining the kind of process to propose these things. So we're planning to create a template. You can see the bullet points of the items we plan to hit. I will be submitting one to you relatively soon-ish for you to see what it looks like, and we can work through that together, make improvements as needed. But that was the biggest update. So thank you.
Any questions from anybody else?
Yeah, just a comment if I may.
Sure. please.
So council visiting local nonprofits. I was just looking for the date, but Kim, our town clerk, you might be able to help. The Serve Our Willing Warriors is having a function, Vets for Vets. Did you get that email?
Yes, but I don't remember.
Okay, yeah, we'll feed that back to everybody. It's a good event. It's a good fundraiser too. So just wanted to piggyback on that.
Okay, I think we've gotten through that. Do I have a motion to adopt the additional consent agenda items?
Mr. Vice Mayor, I move that the Haymarket Town Council adopt consent agenda items B1 and 3 and C1, 2, and 3.
Second.
Any opposed? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will now, let's take a brief 5-minute recess.
Thank you.
And then we will continue with our agenda items. All right, moving on to our agenda items. Our first item on the agenda is consideration of SUP 2024-002. Thomas, would you please give us a report on the app?
Yes, good evening, council. I'd first like to thank the applicant as well. I know the public hearing and consent agenda have cut a bit into the Ramadan celebration this month. Thank you for your patience with all of that. To introduce the application again, religious assembly, it falls under the definition of public assembly in the zoning ordinance, which is approved via special use permit in the B1 Town Center Zone. This site, 14600 Washington Street, is in the B1 zoning district. The applicant wishes to operate a religious assembly space in either suite 155 or 160 of the building, and it would just be the one tenant space, depending on how leases work out, the timing of approval of application, those kinds of things. With that in mind, I looked at previous uses. In this case, it was not a grandfathered use, as in religious assembly had been in the spaces before consecutively, as had been in another space nearby and a couple other locations in Haymarket, so therefore it required SUP review and approval. This was brought to the Planning Commission in December, public hearing. Recommendation by the Planning Commission was for approval with conditions related to proof of occupancy, showing to the staff, as well as other parking requirements, those kinds of things. I want to note as well, Emily, zoning administrator and town manager, was on maternity leave at the time of the Planning Commission review of this application. Since then, we've worked together on creating this staff report, and the updates in this staff report compared to the Planning Commission one reflect our discussions as well. In matters to be considered for the SUP application review, this particular proposal would be 5 prayer assemblies daily, as provided on packet page, if you'll excuse me. as provided on packet page 69. There's a brief introduction of the applicant's use, as well as general times associated with what each prayer service would consist of, as well as duration, expected attendance, and expected vehicles associated with the assembly. Additionally, while we go to that on the screen, I'll turn your attention to packet page 71, which provides a specific example of the prayer times for the month of Ramadan, as listed, as stated in the public hearing and in the application. The morning and evening prayer services are based on sunrise, sunset. It will vary depending on the time of year. What you've been provided is an example of what the time scale of those prayer services would take place, when that would be. Additionally, any sort of call to prayer or call for assembly would happen within the tenant space and would not be publicly broadcasted. I confirmed that with the applicant prior to this meeting as well in an email. I will now go ahead and go into the staff recommendation or the staff report. This is from section 58-4.28 of the zoning ordinance. Matters to be considered in application review. Starting on packet page 60. The first is the nature of the proposed use, including factors such as traffic, noise, light, hours of operation, and number of employees involved. The consistent theme through this application will be twofold when it comes to concerns related to parking and also safety when it comes to entry-exit wayfinding. I've detailed a lot about the parking in this section. On site, there's currently 150 parking spaces in terms of what's marked spaces for all of the tenants used. By itself, the proposed use, our zoning ordinance requires one parking space per 4 seats, which is per 4 attendees of a congregation or of a service. By itself, as a tenant, the site meets that requirement. However, depending on the intensity of use, especially on Fridays and during the month of Ramadan, it may cause overflow or conflict with some of the other uses on site existing already. And that has been detailed in the staff report. Currently, the applicants provided what their projected vehicle amounts would be, which lead up to about 150 at the greatest. And just for a number to put on record as well, 1 per 4 seats with the projected traffic of 150 attendees or 100 vehicles. At the most, that would put us at 38 parking spaces required for that assembly to be provided by the landlord or the site owner. With that in mind, outside of what the applicant has provided, there's been no traffic study conducted for what the current volume of traffic is for entry and exit points on site. Additionally, there's been discussion about how can the Haymarket Police Department assist with carpooling or directing of traffic, as well as Prince William County Police if needed. They're attached in this report on packet pages 73, 74, 75 are some correspondence I've had and the landlord has had with Chief Al Seibert regarding how this can best be helped. Currently, given staffing at the Haymarket Police Department, it would be tough for a schedule to be set out for providing some sort of carpooling. So an agreement would need to be made with Prince William County Police at this current moment based on staffing requirements, those kinds of things. Moving into the second section or item of consideration, the character of the existing area, including existing structures and structures under construction, existing public facilities and public facilities under construction, private, commercial, and/or service facilities available within the existing area. Because it's a tenant space, the use will not alter the existing structure at all. There's no areas under construction that will be affected by this use as well. As mentioned before, customers may struggle to find parking. That would be the only effect on the site. But in terms of the building itself, anything else, no effect would be made from this use. Based on item 3, the area's designation on the town's comprehensive plan and relevant text provisions of the plan, I cited in the comprehensive plan section 1.2.9 community design policy on packet page 61. There's a brief summary or quote from the comprehensive plan describing what the eastern portion of town at the time the plan was approved looks like. Based on my analysis of the site, while the intensity of the use would increase greatly, in terms of what is described in the comprehensive plan about the use type, as well as what kind of buffering is there, I believe the proposed use has adequate buffering from existing neighborhoods, does not qualify for adaptive reuse of a residential building. And because the structure will not change, despite the increase in traffic, it will still promote the small town atmosphere. Item 4 for consideration for the SUP, the minimum off-street parking area required and the amount of space needed for the loading and unloading of trucks, found on packet page 62. I've cited section 58-71 of the zoning ordinance, which describes requirements for minimum off-street parking and loading, as well as what constitutes a necessary parking space, what kind of servicing is required for that. In the Planning Commission, we mostly discussed what does it mean to park on grass? How does that relate to it? The discussion mostly centered on is it referenced in the ordinance? In discussion with the zoning administrator, we provided clear indication per section 3 of the zoning ordinance of what would be needed for change in use on site. We did have a meeting with the applicant recently. Because of the volume of traffic, there is mention of, in the updated prayer schedule for Ramadan, a split of the Friday prayer services into 2 different services. With that, that would constitute total traffic up to 250 potential vehicles, or at least attendees, which would exceed the 150 parking spaces provided on site. This counts for, say, there's overlap in any after social meetings between the prayer services. With that in mind, per section 58.7.1A of the zoning ordinance, approval of this SUP would be a change of use and would require the enlarging of the paving area or surface lot for accommodation of this new use. In the case that it's not paved, there would need to be adequate surfacing as listed in section 58-7.1B of the ordinance, which lists as every parcel of land used as public parking area and motor vehicle ways shall be surfaced with all weather surfaces, excluding gravel surfaces. So in this case, it explicitly states there would need to be some sort of surfacing provided if a specific number of parking spaces was not provided on this site. Additionally, when there were previous uses submitted for this particular site, there had been site plans submitted to try to meet these sort of conditions in the past, with parking provided up to, as listed in the report, 314 surface parking spaces. And that's more for the council's reference. Each case by case is a different basis, but given the zoning ordinance references I've provided, as well as previous history with this space, I wanted to provide that information to council. As far as loading, unloading, this goes into the second portion of what the concerns are related to traffic. We're moving from parking to now traffic. I'll loop us into item 5, whether the public health, safety, and welfare will be preserved and any reasonable conditions necessary for such preservation. Given how narrow the entry-exit points are on site and also the difficulties some customers may have in identifying what the entry-exit point is, I'd recommend, if approval was given by the council, that some sort of wayfinding signage plan would be provided, as well as potential paving of the site. Given our town's focus on pedestrian walkability in the comprehensive plan, as well, potentially a sidewalk addition too, given what we've just done with the town park. And then item 6 for consideration, any other factors relating to the purposes of zoning, planning commission, and in this case, Haymarket Town Council, in their discretion shall consider as relevant. As I've stated before, this particular case is public assembly, religious assembly needing to be approved by special use permit. Given the parking concerns and also the entry-exit point concerns, that would be my main focus for council to consider before voting on this application. Is the information provided, what the public comment has been, and any other questions the applicant may answer. And that is where I leave my report prior to giving any sort of recommendation on approval or denial of this application.
Could I have the, go ahead. No, I was gonna say, could I have the applicant come forward? Just, I know you spoke earlier, but you know, that was a couple hours ago.
Yeah, a couple of hours ago.
Would you mind providing us just a quick, kind of brief update and kind of what the request is again for, and then if there are questions, I want to make sure that the council has an opportunity to ask you questions.
Sure. So right now we are looking for a place for worship, and where we are particularly looking forward to have our 5 daily prayers. Usually the attendance on daily prayers is as equal to any other restaurant that would have been constituted over here that wouldn't need a special use permit, or any other fitness studio whatsoever. So the use is even equal, or I'll say less than that. That's what we have on a daily basis. On the other hand, for Friday prayer, yes, to distribute load for the facility as well as for parking, as well as for the roads. We usually, what we do is we distribute that into multiple prayers, and each prayer lasts for about 30 minutes, and we have 1 hour between two prayers. That gives ample room for people to leave before the next people can come in. And this is how we usually arrange. That goes the same for any other gatherings that we usually plan, to ensure that we have smooth entry and exit points for people coming in and going out. At the moment, the closest one is Muslim MMA, which is Manassas Muslim Association. That is in Manassas. That's about 13 miles away. The other one is Zakaria Islamic Academy. That one is in Chantilly. That's roughly about the same distance away as well. And for other than these two, we do not have any proper place. Today, what we are doing is we are consuming the West Market Clubhouse, which is a very small space that accommodates about 10-15 people or so. And over there, kids and the women cannot come over there. It's just the male users who can come and pray over there. And that too is on availability of the clubhouse. In case there are any events whatsoever, we have to cancel our prayer schedules, because they're just giving us for the use when they are not utilizing it based on the HOA. This is why we're looking for a space which we can use for prayers, as well as for our kids to connect to, because today they do not know what is the inside of Muslim worship place looks like. And over here, my kids are still young. I still want to give them an opportunity. But when I meet residents, what I see is there are people who've been living here for 13 years or 20 years, and their kids have grown, and they haven't seen this. They could not connect to a place where they can go ahead and ask their questions. They have any doubts, they can go ahead and clarify that, and they learn how things are processed. So this is one of the reasons that we actually want to have one such place. When we looked at that, there are two places, as Thomas was saying. The reason we put both of them on the application is we do not know if any of the space, based on how long this goes on, if the landlord finds another tenant and he gives it to that. So we want to make sure that we have an alternative and we don't have to go through the same process again. The parking and the load and everything else will pretty much stay same, whereas some of the square footage is different between the two suites.
Thank you. This time, I'd like to have council, if you'd like to ask questions of either staff or the applicant. Maybe we'll kind of start down. Which way do I want to start? I'll start with you, Councilman Passanel.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam. Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Well, pleasure to be over here. I think you guys worked really hard. I figured that out in the past couple of hours.
So I have a question, not so much about Juma, but Taraweeh. Now, is that just one time a year, or is it going to be for every night for the 30 days?
It's every night for the 30 days. As we speak right now, it's happening. The standard duration for Taraweeh is 1 hour and 30 minutes. And as we speak, it should be over by 9:30. I missed it today to be here, but it's roughly starts around 8, ends at 9:30, and that's that. But that's the 30 regular days in the month of Ramadan.
Got it. Thank you very much. With respect to the town staff, Thomas, when you were talking about proof of occupancy, can you elaborate a little bit about that and whether you've established that?
Yes. So the occupancy requirement is more to see how many individuals can be safely fit into a building. And so the closest thing we have to that would be the parking tabulations of 1 per 4 seats, but it's more of a building department item. It's related to, given the entry or exit points, which with these 2 tenant spaces differs greatly, where one is accessible via the inside versus outside, given what kind of emergency ingress egress can take place on site, as well as the general square footage and use of the space, that would affect what occupancy is provided. In the past, we had approved for one of the churches on Jefferson Street in SUP, which I can provide for council for reference in the future. That was one of the conditions given for approval, just to show proof of occupancy. so we can really understand how many expected attendees we have and how many will be attending any sort of service. Subsequently, since posting this agenda, or I should say, in preparing the staff report for the agenda, we've attempted to reach out to a member of the Prince William County Building Department to determine what potential occupancy would be based on the current site constraints. We're still waiting on a response from them for that. But I have reached out to them and will provide council an update as soon as I can.
Okay, so the condition for the planning commission, we're yet to establish the information that you need.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And Council, if I could just add to that, one of our goals by asking the building official to give us just a tentative idea, we wanted them to look at the two different spaces. And if they came back to us and they said no more than 100 occupants could occupy this one space, and let's just say the other one, they could have up to 120 occupants. We wanted you guys to have those numbers because those are the numbers we're already looking at in regards to traffic and parking. And we thought that it would be, pertinent that there's a cap with how many they can have in this space anyway.
Okay, thank you.
Councilman Larson?
Yeah, from what we saw with the community comments and everything, you can see the presence in this community for the Muslim community. It makes me wonder about the true numbers that are going to be in here. Even though we have caps, it'll end up boiling down to something that needs to be regulated, right? And who's going to be the police on this if these caps are run? I know I've been to plenty of bars that overshot their occupancy in a heartbeat. And, so how do we intend on regulating and monitoring this?
So occupancy is regulated by the county. The fire marshal will come out when called, and so will a building official. And I'll just leave it at a very brief example, but we do have a fine police department who made a judgment call and called out the fire marshal on a Sunday night of a holiday weekend, and they took care of an issue. So if we ever have an issue, they will come out. They come out all different hours. So I don't hesitate to think that we don't have that resource right at our fingertips to make that happen. When we have occupancy issues in the past, it's generally a phone call.
Okay, a question to you. I had conflicting information with the comments from the community when it came to whether this is going to be a prayer service or whether it's going to be community engagement, and that kind of gives me a scare of what sense of what we're actually looking at going on here, because when you start to facilitate a community environment, it's used throughout the time frame as opposed to specific time frames for the ceremonies that you have. What are your intentions on what the purpose of this will be? Is it strictly for mass, or is it for some type of instructional or educational facility, or community engagement in the sense of like community center social activities?
Mainly the purpose is for a prayer service, but having said that, usually such places, they also run programs as in for kids. When I say to connect with them, if they have questions, so what they do is they put some slot over the weekend which says, in this 1 hour, if you have any questions, you can come ahead. We can talk about that. So it's those type of programs that do run. They're very particular in nature, and usually they run over the weekends. And on those weekends, it may be a 1 hour slot, it may be a half an hour slot, or an hour and a half. So somewhere around that, these things do happen pretty much in all religious centers. They do run such programs, and apparently, yes, we do intend to do that as well. One thing that we will not be doing is to run an educational program in the form of a school or daycare or any such thing. It was raised before as well. We do not intend to do that. Over here, there will be programs, and when I say community engagement community engagement in Islam is mainly when they gather for prayer, they reach to meet each other and they figure out, hey, how's you doing? You didn't come for another prayer and things like these. So this is the sort of things which when we say it's community engagement, it engages the community, gathers them and figure out that if someone is always there and today is not there, probably we need to go and check on them.
Yep. Yeah, I'm assuming that the engagement is kind of similar to the Catholic coffee and donut social afterwards, right? But yeah. Okay, those are a few of mine. I'll let it continue around the dais.
Councilwoman Ramirez.
Thank you. It's very clear that you need a space, that our community needs a space for you guys to gather. I absolutely heard that tonight, and it's wonderful to see so many of your congregation come out and speak and send emails and be engaged. I mean, 40 plus, like 70 emails. That's wonderful. It's very clear that this is a need for our community. I appreciate Councilmember Larson's question in clarifying what the intent is for this space. I think I heard you mention that at the current space that you're holding, it's men only. Your plan for this space is to also involve women and children, right?
That is correct.
Okay. And I heard teenagers emailing in saying that this is important to them, and that was really lovely too. So I really want to see what we can do to make this happen. So appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much. Thank you. That's cool.
Councilman Baker.
Yes. Thank you. Good to see you again. How are you?
Yeah.
Thank you for coming out. Sorry you had to miss your prayers and come here to do this. Sorry guys for that part. But yeah, we spoke about this when we came to planning and the parking. I would just have a question for Thomas. Could you give me kind of more information on section 58.0?